She doesn't want the man who tries the hardest. She wants the man who knows what few others ever figure out. It's not the way you look. It's not how much money you make. It's what you understand about women and about yourself. Some men walk into a room, and without saying a word, they change the energy. They aren't guessing. They aren't performing. They know. This video will show you what they know and how you can become one of them. Number 1. Know how to offer direction without dominance. If you want to instantly separate yourself from 95% of men, stop giving advice she never asked for. The truth is, masculine men don't speak to control. They speak to provide structure. In many relationships, men fall into the trap of constantly trying to solve women's problems. They mistake leadership for micromanagement. They confuse guidance with dominance. They think giving unsolicited advice is a form of care. But to her, it's a sign of weakness. Why? Because it reveals a lack of self-control. It shows you need her to validate your ideas, that you need to prove your intelligence, your leadership, your usefulness, rather than simply embodying it. Women don't want to be managed. They want to be led. But leadership doesn't begin with assertion. It begins with observation. A man who understands feminine psychology knows this. Women want to be heard first, fully, without interruption, without a solution. If she's venting about her job, her friends, her insecurities, she's not asking you to fix anything. She's testing your ability to hold space, to be a calm presence while her emotion moves through you like wind through a mountain. And when, and only when, she asks for your opinion, you give it, not forcefully, not like you're laying down law. You give it like a man who doesn't need to be right, but who lives by clarity. You offer direction not to change her, but to let her feel the strength of a man who isn't shaken by her chaos. Here's how a man with presence does it. He waits, he listens. He lets her speak to the point she exhausts her own thoughts. Then, in one sentence, he offers truth, clean, unreactive, and powerful. And that sentence lands. It doesn't overwhelm her, it steadies her, because it wasn't born from the need to be useful, it was born from inner stillness. When you give direction without dominance, something magical happens. She begins to look to you. She begins to ask. She begins to lean in, not because you demanded respect, but because you commanded it without saying a word. This is why women are drawn to men who seem to always know what to say. It's not because they talk more, it's because they say less. But when they do speak, it cuts through the noise. Remember this. A man who talks to prove himself is seen as a boy. A man who speaks only when needed is felt as a king. This is why women become obsessed with quiet, grounded men. They don't give solutions. They give direction when invited. And that direction feels like clarity in a storm. So next time she talks, listen deeper. Don't jump in. Don't try to help. Just let her feel your presence. And when she asks, offer your voice. Not to control her, but to let her know she's not navigating life alone. Number 2, know how to treat her like a lady. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be famous. You just need to know how to move like a man with value. And nothing communicates that faster than this. Treat her like a woman who is worth your discipline, not your desperation. In today's world, where masculine and feminine energy are under attack, most men have lost the understanding of polarity. They've become passive, or reactive, or worse, indifferent. And women feel that instantly. That's why when a man moves with intention, she feels her femininity awaken. When you open the door, when you walk on the street side of the sidewalk, When you place your hand on her lower back to guide her into a room, you aren't just being polite. You're showing her something rare: presence, respect, subtle protection. And it's these small, silent actions that bypass her rational mind and land in her body. Because you're not doing it to get something from her. You're doing it because it's who you are, because you recognize her feminine energy and you meet it with calm, masculine care. But here's what most men miss. You don't treat her like a lady because she's earned it. You treat her like a lady because you're a man with standards for himself. She could be fiery, chaotic, playful, dominant, emotional. It doesn't matter. Your treatment of her doesn't come from her behavior. It comes from your identity, and that's what makes it powerful. Because the moment she sees you remain consistent, respectful, grounded, warm, even when she's testing you, even when she's unpredictable, she drops her guard, she begins to trust, she begins to follow. Why? Because women aren't looking for men who mirror them. They're looking for men who stabilize them. So when you treat her like a lady, even when she's acting anything but, you show her you're not threatened. You show her you have the strength to remain masculine regardless of her behavior. That's the moment attraction deepens. And don't confuse this with simping. Treating her like a lady doesn't mean putting her on a pedestal. It means acknowledging that you operate with structure, discipline, and masculine poise. And any woman who steps into your world will be met with that energy. Or she won't stay long. Masculine power isn't loud. It's quiet, composed, and deeply aware. When you show up that way, she doesn't feel like she's chasing attention. She feels like she's standing in the presence of someone who doesn't need to be seen, because he already sees himself clearly. And that makes you unforgettable. Number 3, know how to control your temper. Here's a truth nobody wants to admit. A man who cannot control his temper is a man who can't control his life. And a man who can't control his life can never lead a woman. You can be confident, you can be strong, you can even be successful. But the moment your emotions override your presence, you become unstable in her eyes and unattractive in her body. Let's go deeper. When you raise your voice, when you lash out, when you let anger spill out because she pushed one of your buttons, you've just communicated the most dangerous thing a man can signal. You have control over me. Not because you're weak, but because you gave her emotional energy more power than your masculine frame. And she feels that. At first, she might react emotionally too. She might push harder. She might match your fire. But the part of her that craves masculine leadership, it shuts down because she no longer feels safe in your presence. This is why the men who win long-term, the ones who earn a woman's trust, loyalty, submission, and desire, are the ones who remain grounded, no matter how much she tests him, no matter how irrational the moment seems, no matter how fiery her emotions become. He doesn't suppress his emotion. He channels it. He breathes deeply. He speaks with power, not volume. He pauses instead of reacting. Because he knows this. A man who controls his tone controls the tone of the entire relationship. Women crave emotional safety, but that safety isn't built on softness. It's built on calmness. It's the kind of safety that allows her to open, express, even rage, because deep down she knows, no matter how much I shake, he doesn't flinch. And that feeling, that emotional gravity, that's what keeps her locked in. That's what makes her return, even after arguments. That's what keeps her eyes on you, even when others are chasing. She may act like she doesn't care, but on a primal level, she's always observing one thing. Can you remain the mountain when her emotional waves hit hardest? So here's the move. Next time tension rises, slow everything down. Drop your shoulders, relax your jaw, lower your voice. And if she's escalating, don't match her. Match the moment with stillness. Make her feel, without saying a word, I'm not going anywhere, and neither is my frame. That single shift alone will make her respect you in ways you've never experienced. Because she'll see that you're not just a man she can talk to, you're a man she can trust herself with. Number 4, know how to surprise and challenge her. Every woman wants a strong man, but if she can predict you, she'll never desire you. That's where most nice guys go wrong. They're available, they're agreeable, they're predictable, and predictable equals boring. Here's the truth nobody talks about. Women don't fall in love with men they understand. They fall in love with men they're still trying to figure out. Now, this doesn't mean playing games. This doesn't mean acting mysterious just to manipulate her curiosity. It means being the kind of man who doesn't reveal everything at once. A man who has depth. A man who knows his life isn't a show. It's a standard. And if she wants access, she'll have to earn more of it over time. Women don't want to be handed the full story on day 1. They want to discover you in layers. And if she feels like she's already seen the full movie, why would she keep watching? So here's how high-value men operate. They let her feel their depth. They give just enough to keep her engaged, but never enough to let her feel like she's figured you out. It could be a last-minute plan changed to something more thrilling. A date where you take her somewhere she didn't expect. Saying no to something she assumed you'd say yes to. Leaving a text on read, not to play games, but because your time is your own. This unpredictability creates tension. And tension is the lifeblood of attraction. But there's another side to this. You must be willing to challenge her, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, not by arguing, but by standing your ground, by calling her out gently but firmly when she crosses a line, by questioning her assumptions, by refusing to let her emotional reactions pull you into emotional chaos. You challenge her by being the kind of man who says, I hear you, but I don't agree, and I'm not changing my mind just to make you feel good. That's the moment she feels something primal in you, and whether she admits it or not, that's the moment she respects you more than she ever did before. Because deep down, every woman is craving a man who can stretch her boundaries. Not because he wants control, but because he knows how to lead. When you can surprise her, when you can challenge her, when you can make her feel slightly off balance in the most exciting way, she locks into you, not because she's confused, but because she's activated. And that activation is what makes her crave more of you long after you've gone quiet. So don't be predictable. Be centered and unpredictable. Don't always say yes. Say what's true. Don't plan every move. Lead with presence and improvise with confidence. Because the man who doesn't ask permission to shift the mood or change the rhythm becomes the man she can't get out of her head. Number 5, know how to compliment her with precision. Most men throw compliments like darts in the dark, hoping something lands, hoping it's the right thing to say. But here's the truth. Women are not moved by words. They are moved by what those words reveal about the man saying them. That's why generic compliments fall flat. You're so beautiful. Wow, you look amazing tonight. You've got such a great smile. Sound familiar? It's not that she doesn't hear them. It's that she's heard them hundreds of times. From men who were trying to impress, not trying to connect. And the moment your words start sounding like every other man, you vanish from her mind, no matter how genuine your intention was. So what's the secret? Precision. Women remember the compliments that show you're truly observing, not her appearance, not her status, but her essence. She remembers the compliment that no one else thought to say. Here's what that sounds like. I love how you go quiet when you're thinking hard. It's intense. That little smirk you do when you're winning a debate, dangerous. The way you explain things, it's like you slow down time. Notice something? Each one shows attention to detail. Each one reflects something specific and personal. And most importantly, none of them seek validation. They're not fishing for a reaction. They're statements of observation, delivered with calm power. That's what turns a compliment into a connection. Here's what most men don't realize. A good compliment doesn't make her feel flattered. It makes her feel seen. Not just as a body, not just as a woman, but as a unique expression of feminine energy. Something rare, something valued. And when she feels that, her guard drops, her interest deepens. Her mind begins to replay your words hours, even days, later. But here's the kicker. Don't overdo it. Because if your compliments become frequent, they lose their weight. Too many compliments, no matter how precise, become predictable. And predictability kills mystery. You want your compliment to feel like a rare piece of gold. Not like change from a vending machine. So, give her silence. Let her wonder what you think. And when you do speak, make it land with surgical precision. The most unforgettable men say the least. But when they speak, they leave fingerprints on her memory. So the next time you want to compliment her, pause, look closer, find the detail no one else noticed, speak it once, and then let the silence do the seduction. Number 6, know how to consider her subtle needs. You can say all the right things. You can bring the energy, the looks, the confidence. But if you consistently miss the subtle, you'll eventually lose her attention. And worse, her trust. Here's something powerful. Women don't remember the loudest man in the room. They remember the man who noticed what she didn't say. This chapter isn't about bending to her every mood. It's not about being passive or people-pleasing. It's about something deeper, more primal, more rare. It's about being attuned, the kind of man who walks into a space and feels the emotional temperature, who notices the way she keeps adjusting her seat, who senses her hesitation even when she says, "I'm fine," who picks up on tension she hasn't verbalized, and adjusts without needing praise. Let's break this down. Every woman carries unspoken needs, needs she won't say directly. Sometimes because she doesn't want to seem needy, sometimes because she doesn't know how to say it. She wants space when her energy is scattered, presence when her heart is heavy, lightness when her world feels heavy, strength when she's testing limits, softness when she doesn't know what she needs. Most men either ignore these signals or get frustrated by them. But the man she chooses to trust, the one she becomes vulnerable around, he doesn't panic. He pays attention. He notices when she's distracted at dinner, when her tone drops slightly, when her laugh is 20% lighter than usual, when her body leans away instead of in. And here's what's wild. Just by acknowledging that shift, without needing to fix it, you win more than most men ever do. You could say, "You feel a little distant tonight. Want to talk about it, or just chill in silence?" That alone? That shows leadership. Not because you're forcing a solution, but because you noticed. And that makes her feel safe. Or maybe you say nothing. Maybe you just put your phone away, pull her in closer, and let her rest against your chest in total silence. Because sometimes what she needs is to feel like you see her, even when she disappears into herself. That's what makes her surrender. Not because you fixed her, but because you made it safe for her to be imperfect without needing to explain it. Now here's the hard truth. Most men lose women not through dramatic events, but through 1,000 small failures to notice. The left-up toilet seat, the cluttered car when she's riding with you, the dismissive you're overreacting when she tries to explain a boundary. Each one chips away at her feeling of being held, of being honored. So how do you stand out? You notice the details. You remember what drink she ordered last week. You recall the name of the book she casually mentioned. You catch when her playlist changes moods, and you ask why. And when she's quiet for no reason, you don't push. You sit beside her with stillness and let her speak when she's ready. To be felt without asking is a woman's deepest desire. Master this, and she'll follow your lead forever. Number 7, know how to protect her energy. You want her to feel safe around you. Not the kind of safe that comes from being nice. Not the kind of safe that comes from saying, "I'd never hurt you," but the kind of deep, primal safety that makes her let go of her walls, drop her mask, and melt into her feminine without hesitation. And that kind of safety comes from a man who protects her energy without asking for credit. Let's get real. Most men think protection means fighting off other guys or being tough in public. That's surface level. The truth? The man who protects her energy, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, is the one she desires on every level. Here's how that looks in real life. When she's around chaos, you don't add to it, you calm it. When she's anxious, you don't fix it, you sit with it. When she's being reactive, you don't mirror her, you anchor her. You become the eye of the storm, not the wind that throws everything around. But here's the twist most men miss. Protecting her energy doesn't mean shrinking yours. It means holding a masculine container so strong that her feminine energy can finally relax inside it. Think about it. She's been in fight mode all day, at work, online, around people who expect her to be on. So when she's in your space, what she wants is not more noise, not more stimulation, not more emotional demands. She wants a man who's already grounded, so she doesn't have to be. She wants to feel your strength without you displaying it. That means you don't tell her to calm down. You stay calm. You don't interrupt her spirals. You absorb them with stillness. You don't ask her to stop feeling. You let her feel without flinching. That's power, but it goes deeper. Protecting her energy also means protecting her from you, from your own emotional leaks, your neediness, your lack of boundaries, your unresolved insecurities that spill into the relationship and make her carry what you should be holding. Masculine men don't dump chaos onto their women. They transmute it, they feel it, they sit with it, they process it, without needing her to be their therapist. Because if she starts feeling like she's your emotional caretaker, she'll lose attraction faster than she can say, "I'm tired," and you'll confuse it for her being cold. When the truth is, you failed to be the container she was seeking. So what's the real move? You become the man who says little, but watches everything. You hold space like it's second nature. You speak only when necessary. You know when to hold her and when to let her breathe. You don't broadcast your strength. You embody it. When she feels safer in your silence than in anyone else's words, you've won her nervous system, and that's where attraction lives. So next time she's overwhelmed, angry, insecure, confused, don't fix her. Don't fight her. Don't fear her. Just be still. Let her feel your presence like a wall that doesn't move. She'll lean in, not because you told her to, but because she feels what every woman is secretly waiting to feel. A man whose energy protects her soul. Number 8, know how to invite her into your world. Here's a truth most men never learn. The moment you make her your entire world, She starts looking for a man who already had one. Read that again. This chapter is not about making her feel less valuable. It's about making sure you never lose your center. Because the man who doesn't have a life, a purpose, a mission that consumes him, will always try to consume her. He'll cling, he'll chase, he'll become emotionally dependent, even if he's acting confident on the surface. And women are wired to reject that. They might tolerate it at first, even enjoy the attention. But eventually they feel the void underneath it, and it repels them. Why? Because her feminine energy is looking to be invited into something, not to become everything to a man with nothing of his own. She wants to be part of your story, not the whole book. So what does this look like in real masculine energy? You're not asking for her time. You're offering her access. You have something bigger than her, something that wakes you up in the morning, pulls your attention forward, and keeps your emotional energy focused. Whether that's your craft, your business, your training, your spiritual path, your vision for the world, doesn't matter. What matters is you're already building something. And then, instead of chasing her, you let her see your fire. You let her feel what it's like to be around a man who doesn't need her to feel complete, but would genuinely enjoy having her walk beside him. That's when she starts asking questions. What drives you? How do you stay so focused? Why do I feel like you're already full without anyone else? That's when her feminine opens. Because she realizes that this man doesn't need me to feel powerful. He's already powerful. And I want to be close to that energy. That's when you invite her in, not as your other half, but as a partner to your mission. Someone who aligns, not someone who distracts. Someone who supports, not someone who replaces direction. But here's the key. You never adjust your purpose to make her more comfortable. If she fits, she fits. If she challenges it, you don't flinch. Because your purpose isn't on the table, it's the foundation. And when you stand on it, unshaken, unapologetic, you create the magnetic tension that pulls her into your orbit without ever chasing her. Women don't follow men who chase them. They follow men who lead themselves, with or without her. So ask yourself, what are you building? What excites you more than women? What would you still be doing if no one was watching? That's your path. That's your power. And that's the energy that doesn't just attract her. It keeps her locked in, long-term. Number 9. Know how to listen without losing frame. Listening isn't just hearing words. It's the purest form of seduction when done with control. But most men, they don't know how to listen. They either try to fix too fast, or they lose themselves in the emotion she's releasing. Here's what you need to know. If you can't listen without reacting, you don't have presence, you have performance. And women can feel that. They feel the man who's nodding too much. They sense the subtle need to be liked, to be approved. They spot the way you lean in too quickly, or shift your tone just to match her emotion. That's not listening. That's bending. And the moment she feels your frame slipping, she respects you a little less. So how does a grounded man listen? He listens like he's rooted into the earth. He doesn't flinch, he doesn't interrupt. He doesn't try to earn her emotions. He lets her talk while he watches, observes, processes, reads the signal beneath the words. He notices what she emphasizes, what she avoids, where her tone shifts, where her body language contradicts her words. And he says nothing until it matters. And when he does speak, he speaks slowly, deliberately, with no need to convince, prove, or perform, because he already knows who he is. This kind of presence is intoxicating. It makes her lean in. It makes her want to earn your insight, because you don't give it freely. And when you do, she listens like it's law. Why? Because you listened to her like she mattered. But you never gave up your center. You didn't become reactive. You didn't emotionally sync with her chaos. You didn't try to fix her like a problem. You let her feel seen without being saved. And that's rare, because women live in a world where they're constantly talked at, not listened to. Where men either try to dominate conversations or shrink under them. So when you sit there, open, unmoved, sharp, still, you become a mirror she trusts and a force she wants to be near. She doesn't want you to match her chaos. She wants you to stay calm, so she can feel safe falling apart. So next time she's venting, processing, expressing, don't flinch, don't fix, don't flee, just be there. Let your stillness speak louder than any words ever could. And when the silence falls between you two, she'll feel it. The energy of a man who listens. Not to gain power, but because he already has it. You don't have to become someone else to attract women. You don't have to fake confidence or force control. You just have to know. Know how to treat her, how to hold space, how to surprise, lead, and remain unshakable. Because when you know what matters, you move differently, you speak less, and women can't help but respond, not to your effort, but to your energy. If this gave you clarity, insight, or power, hit that subscribe button, like the video, share it with someone who needs to move differently, and if you want more Stoic strategies, red pill clarity, and attraction decoded, support this channel. And let's build men the world can't ignore.